Hey everybody, Scott from Enduro America. Today we are going to be doing the oil change on the Kove. At least the draining process. We're going to see how long this takes. I'm going to tell you exactly what you guys will need to do this, so stay tuned. I'm going to stitch this in. I'm doing this after the fact. It's still draining a little bit, but I kind of organized everything out here. So again, this is everything that you're going to need. You could probably eliminate this socket if you had a 17 millimeter in the 1/4 inch. So then you can carry something smaller. But we've got both of the screen plugs, the oil drain plug. These were for the exhaust, all of these ones. And then our bolts for our skid plate. I utilized a crescent wrench. That was for this rear exhaust mount. Got a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, a 6 millimeter Allen, which would be nice to just have a socket for that. We've got a 10 millimeter and 8 millimeter. I think this one was it's a 13 millimeter, and then our 17 millimeter. This was nice, the little magnet, not necessary, but it was nice to get the oil filter out. And then I had an extension, and then this was the oil cap, and then the 2 bolts, and then your screens and your filter. So again, this was everything that we utilized in this video to be able to do this oil change. Laid out the tools that we're going to need for this oil change. We're going to work down from a 17 millimeter socket. We've got a 13, a 10, and an 8. Okay, so we're going to go through this. I've got some brake cleaner and a pair of gloves here as well. This is the first time, so again, I have no clue what this entails, but we're going to go through this together. And I'm going to put the phone in the little tripod here so that I can go over here and check this out. So let's get started. So to go ahead and drain it first, I think we've got to take the skid plate off and then this exhaust, which I think will obviously be the easiest part. I've just kind of eyeballed this. I haven't looked at what anybody else is doing or done or anything like that. So I've got my gold socket. We're going to start taking the skid plate off. So again, I assume this is just the 1 bolt up here, and then I believe there's 4 underneath. So just these tiny little 8 millimeter jobs. And I could have done this with a quick wrench, but I wanted to kind of simulate doing this. So say for example you're out doing a BDR run or something along the lines of that, and you have to do it in a parking lot. I wanted to kind of portray what's going to be involved, what you're going to need, and I guess we'll give it a level of difficulty score when we are done. But so far it's going pretty darn easy here. So I just ran the bike for a bit, so it is a little bit warm. I still only have about 13 miles on it. The reason I'm doing it early like this was I kept hearing kind of these horror stories of people changing the oil and there wasn't enough oil in it. I know there's like the zip tie method that you can try. I just didn't feel comfortable. I want to know exactly what's going on with the bike before I get too deep into this thing. Spent a lot of money on it, so I want to make sure everything is good. So the skid plate is free. Oh, that was actually a lot easier than I had expected. Nice lightweight carbon fiber skid plate. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, appears to be what I'm assuming is like a toolkit. We can go through that after. So I'm going to set this aside for now. So we've got the bottom of the bike exposed. And again, maybe I can show you guys, because again, this video is going to be kind of long, but I want everybody to see what's going on with these bikes. So we've got an oil cooler up front here. Oops, sorry. I don't know if I can even have to turn this sideways. It's going to be a little funky. So oil cooler, and what kind of looks like a charcoal canister of some sort, maybe. Got our drain bolt is right there, and then we've got a screen, I believe, which is that black right there. The black nut we have to pull off, and then our filter, and then there's also another screen on the opposite side, I believe. So again, this is totally new to me, so let's set this back up and we'll start pulling the exhaust off. and all that. So with the intro and everything, we're sitting at about 4 minutes right now. And I might put a little bit of anise, especially on these exhaust pipes. So that one really just needs to be loosened so that we can slide it up. And again, this is pretty hot, so I might actually need a pair of gloves to get this out of here. But we'll see how it goes when I loosen this up. Oh, and we're going to need another one for that side. I missed that. I don't know what size that is, but we're just going to grab a crescent wrench for ease of use today. And then you'll also need a torque wrench when you're torquing everything back, and I forgot that in the drawer. I did not pull that out, but again, I was trying to simulate if you're out on the trail. Oh, there we go. And you've got to do this. This is going to be the procedure, and if you've never done it before and you're on the trail, it'll be a first time for you as well. So you can watch this video, and hopefully this will help. So it looks like about a, we'll check this just in case. So we are a 14 millimeter. So 14 millimeter on the muffler nut. Okay, now I'm going to grab a pair of gloves from over on the other side of the shop here. I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not, if the video switched to my headset or not. I was trying to use this headset just because it makes it easier on me. I don't have to hold the phone anywhere near me. So let's pull that out of there. And this whole exhaust, in theory, should come off of here at this point. Oh no, we've got one more. That looks like another 10 mil. And that one has a welded nut on the back side, it appears. So this one should be a lot easier. So this is the first time using these Icon Gold. They're kind of a limited edition ratchet. I didn't need the gold ones, but they were only a couple bucks more. I thought they looked kind of neat, so I sprung for the extra few bucks. It appears the exhaust is going to come off pretty easy. Okay, so that seems the easiest route rather than pulling everything else. So again, I'm going to set this aside over here. Now, we've got the drain plug to deal with. And again, I hadn't accounted for this. This is going to be our fill port. So I do need to get a socket for that as well. And I'm assuming that's probably, we'll find out here. If we can find our set of, which I think I left that stuff down at the house the last time I used it. But I've got some backups here that might work. If we have the right size. Otherwise we're going to have to pause the video. Yeah, that's a little too small. Oh, here we go. What do we have here? Well, we may have to actually use a normal instead of a socket. Sorry guys, I'm really limited with the tools that I have down here at the shop. I've kind of been going through and moving everything down here still. That one is pretty darn close. I think the 1/4 inch. I don't have the metric stuff down here. It almost appears like it's tapered on the inside, so that kind of screws us up. boy, I'm gonna have to get the regular sockets out. So again, that's why I'm doing this video, because I want to make sure we've got everything we need for when we're on the road. And I will make a list as well. It is a 6 mil. Yep, we're going to go with the 6 millimeter. So let's loosen that guy up first. And it shouldn't be all that tight, but. So there is a little rubber gasket on the very top of this that should come out. I'll probably take these goofy gloves off now that we've got the exhaust out of there. So right at the very top of your fill port, there's going to be a little tiny rubber O-ring, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that out of there. It's in there pretty good, and we're going to just put that back on. A lot of guys will go ahead and replace this. Because I've only put 13 miles on this bike, I'm pretty much just going through the procedure to make sure there was the proper levels and whatnot of oil in here. So we're going to have to add a 6 millimeter socket, either the socket with an Allen or an actual Allen wrench to be able to remove that. I'm guessing as well, I haven't gone through the kit that they give to you, but some of this stuff might be in there, so we're going to do that too. Let's pull our drain plug. I wasn't able to get down to the drain plug with the last deal there, so that drain plug is a 17 millimeter, so we're going to put that on our socket here and drain this. Man, that's pretty dang tight. A lot of this stuff was so tight from the factory. I'll go ahead and put our gloves on now so we don't get covered in oil, so we can, if we need to make adjustments to the camera or anything else, we can try to stay somewhat clean. Alright, so we've gone ahead and loosened the drain bolt. I cleaned this pan out just so we can see if there's going to be anything funky coming out of the bike. There we go. So what I did to do the actual break-in on the bike was I ran through a couple of heat cycles, and so I heat cycled it to the point where the fan would turn on. So I would just let it sit there and kind of idle, ran just a teeny bit here and there, let it warm up, fan would come on, I would shut it off, I would go home. I'm going to see if there's any debris. And we do have a tiny bit of shavings on this plug. Nothing that I'd be concerned with at this point. Again, I mean, she's got 13 miles on a brand new motor, so it's kind of to be expected. But again, I went through the heat cycles on the bike. I did that. I can't remember if I did. I think I did 3 heat cycles like that, and then I took it around the block and just, you know, short shifting really close, not revving it out at all. And then I went ahead and rode it a little bit. Actually, I shut it down then. I rode it a little bit farther. Basically, the second ride that I went on, we put about maybe 10 miles on it. And then I've really just taken it around the block a handful of times here. Alright, so that looks pretty darn clean. I'll give that a spray with our brake and parts cleaner. I'm going to do it over here though, because I want to look at that oil. Alright, so we have our plug with a magnet on it. I'm going to ditch these gloves and get a different pair. I just realized these were the ones I pulled out of an old bin and they're starting to disintegrate, so I'm going to just throw those away. Get a new pair here. Yeah, that box is probably from 2016, it says, so those are a bit old. So gloves are no good. Alright, so while that's draining, I'm going to get an extension here just to make it easier on it. Which, maybe I don't need it. Huh. Let's see. Let's see how she goes pulling the filter. Yeah, no extension needed. It would be a little bit nicer to have. We're just going to pull those by hand. These are for the oil filter. And this is probably under pressure, I'm guessing. It might be sprung. I'm going to kind of hold that in place. And I can feel it. I can feel there's a spring in there. Now that I've loosened that a little bit more. Alright, so both of those little 8mm jobs are out. And just as I suspected, there is a spring on the end of the oil filter. And I don't have anything to pop that out of there with. What I'd probably use on the trail would be my Leatherman tool, which I always keep strapped to my belt here. Just open it up and pull it out like that. We're going to see if the magnet option works, and it does. That is a really big oil filter. And this oil, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it looks really thin and really kind of muddy looking, which I'm not thrilled about, so I'm really glad that I did this early. It doesn't appear that there's really anything. I don't see particulates or particles or anything in that filter, so that's good. Let's actually set that aside. I gotta see if I can source another one of those. This bike might sit for a few days at this point because I don't have that oil filter. I thought I might have had one sitting there. So I'll get a couple of those on order. And then we'll clean that out. Well, let's go ahead. And we definitely are going to need an extension for this one. Keep that in mind. I'm going to use the long one. We don't need one quite that long. But let's take this screw number here. Oh man, those are tight. Again, I'm glad we're doing this ahead of time so that we can properly torque all this stuff. Make sure we've got the right torque specs on everything. And the reason I'm pulling all of this stuff out this time too is I want to make sure that we get 100% of the oil out of here. So we'll let it drain for a good bit, and then I'm actually, again, I'm going to measure what came out of the bike for the oil. Alright, so that one is a little bit tight to get in there with your fingers anyway. And yep, there's quite a bit of oil coming out of that too. I'm glad I pulled that guy out of there. That one we probably will need a little bit of a, I guess I would prefer having needle nose to get that filter out. Just a handful of teeny tiny particles on that one. So nothing bad. I'll show you guys on the camera. I don't know if this will be depicted in the camera or not. Or if it will focus. So just, oopsie, if it'll focus here. Just a couple of them. So we're good there. We'll set that aside, because that's going to need to be cleaned with braking parts cleaner. If you're off somewhere and you're at an O'Reilly parking lot, I'd suggest maybe taking this in and letting them use your, maybe letting them use the wash if you don't have anything else to clean it with. If you can't use the braking parts cleaner, just hose it out and make sure all the particulates and everything are out of there, and then make sure it dries completely before you put it back together. So to give you guys a little insight, I've done this before. So on the trail, the last time we ran the Mid-Atlantic Backcountry Discovery Route, I took my 501 as a Husqvarna 501 rally that I built up, and I think I have a video on that one somewhere in my deal here if you subscribe. But that bike, I changed the oil on once, so basically all we did was stop at the O'Reilly parts store. I bought one of these oil pans, can of brake cleaner, all that good stuff. And whatever I didn't use, I was able to change the oil, clean the filters, put a new filter in, all that good stuff. I bought a quart of oil from them as well. And whatever I didn't use, I just donated back to one of the guys. And I said, well, if somebody else comes along here and wants to use it, or if you guys want to toss it or take it home, that's whatever you figure out is just fine. So sorry this is so far. So this is the little hole for the little screen that we pulled out, which is right there. And then this is for the oil filter. Now, we're going to go around to the other side of the bike. I'm going to set this camera up over here again. Hopefully it'll pick up the bike. I'll set her right here on this other table. And there's one more screen on this side that we want to make sure we get pulled out of here. Oh boy. Oh, holy crap, those are tight. And I'm way tighter than they need to be. I'm pretty sure the little plugs are in. We could test that, so there's no reason for those things to be that damn tight in there. That's why I suggest doing all this too ahead of time. More in that one. A little more oil. Another rag over on this side here. We'll grab our needle nose again. Pull that guy out of there. And these do have O-rings on them. I generally suggest replacing the O-rings on your screens as well. That one looks damn near purple. There's not really anything on that one. So that's a good sign. So we're going to let that sit for a second. In the meantime, I'm going to go and spray this one out. A little part sink over here. Just to make sure we get everything out of it and off of it. And because we're not really putting this back together right now, I'm actually just going to go ahead and rinse these out. Alright, so that's rinsed out. We got screen number 1, screen number 2 will rinse. So that pretty much concludes the oil drain process. Now, I assume it's going to be quicker going back together, but the next video I'll do the opposite. So we'll be putting everything back together. So this video is probably already, I don't even know, let me look on here. We're 23 minutes in already. So I would assume having everything ready, having the knowledge to do this once you've done it once or twice, really shouldn't be that difficult. I would think, 15 to 20 minutes max, you could probably have everything pulled, do the oil change, and have everything back together. So really not a difficult process on the Kove 450. Is it a little bit more difficult than the Husky? In all honesty, probably not. I had an aftermarket skid plate on that one from P3, and I had these little deals in here that were a real pain in the butt to put back on that Husqvarna, so that took up the majority of the time of changing it, probably an extra couple minutes for sure, trying to get everything lined up. But these are welded, which is really nice, so that makes me super happy. I wouldn't rate this process difficult. Maybe like a 4 4 out of 10, just for the fact that you have to pull the exhaust off, which isn't difficult. It's just 3 of the bolts that you pulled off of there to get the lower part of the exhaust off so you can get the screen and the oil filter out. But again, not a difficult process. You guys, if you like the videos, go ahead and subscribe, and stay tuned for video 2 of us putting everything back together, making sure everything is cleaned properly. We'll get everything, you know, put back together, and then I'm going to measure this oil and see exactly how much oil we have, what came out of the bike, and I'll show you the condition. I'm going to try to put it in a clear container if I've got one around here so everybody can kind of see too. I'm not going to go as far as doing an oil analysis. This is a brand new bike. There's going to be a lot of crap in this motor the first time around, but I'm glad that we changed this as early as you did now that I've seen what I'm seeing. So again, if you guys like the video, go ahead and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.